Hi there YouTube, Extreme Trains here. Yeah, it's been a while, but that's for a couple of reasons. Number one, because I have a life, and it's not always YouTube, which means I haven't been able to watch a lot of YouTube videos as well. But the second thing is, I haven't found a lot of interesting merchandise that I've actually wanted to bring you guys, because I'm not in the business of making videos that I just make to fill a quota. I'm only going to make videos when I've got something I want to show you. And thankfully, I've got a couple of things I want to show you now, which hopefully we're going to get to. The first thing though was an excellent surprise I found when I was looking for new Transformers toys at my local Kmart, or one of my local Kmarts at least, and I found, bam! Starting to flood the shelves was Wave 3 of the Thomas & Friends 2017 minis, which I was starting to think might not be arriving because it's been a really long time between Wave 2 and Wave 3, but I'm excited they're here because there's some excellent pieces in here and some really weird ones too. So, what are we waiting for? Let's do it. As always with the new wave, I like to have a quick look at the packaging. Similar packaging to what we've got before. As we know, this year and last year, they actually started redoing the packaging, so it wasn't just this that changed the whole thing. Nice to see some of the interesting models. I still think it's weird that they often put the models we've seen before on here, right? Like Classics Gordon, Classics Bash or Dash, I forget which one is which, Steven and Fiery Flynn. I don't understand why they're the ones they feature on the front primarily when they're the ones we've had before. But anyway, regardless, as you can see, they've still got the crazy numbering system where you're going like from in the hundreds with some numbers being skipped. So you really do need to be using the checklists online, otherwise you will not get the ones you want. Looking at the brochure now, got something different again. This brochure actually confused me a bit at the start, because when I opened it, it comes like this, which says 2017 Wave 4. But then you turn it over, once you unfold it of course, and you see that what this is actually is, again, dual purposing 2017 Wave 4 and 2017 Wave 3. So this shows us here all the engines in this wave, which I think is quite nice. Again, you can see most of the classics are repeat apart from these two awesome characters here. So if you want a review of these ones, go check out my videos from last year or the first year when these ones were released. And also this Victor, I did already have, I got him in a 3-pack, so he's not going to be in this review, but he is actually included in this series. Then we can sneak forward ahead to have a bit of a peek at what's coming. Again, I've already got the Rosie who was in Wave 4. I've got all these classic engines now, and then it'll just be a matter of collecting these other engines when this next series comes out. Although I feel like I have Nighttime Millie. Gonna have to double check. Oh, that's a really cool looking one. Who is that? Gordon, I think. Space Gordon. Anyway, so that's enough looking at that. Again, same kind of style. I actually don't mind the way they're doing them now, where they've got multiple waves on there. I think it's kind of cool, because that way you can kind of know what to expect, particularly now that they label those boxes. I mean, like packaging and the boxes actually with this. Now, the first engine in this wave is actually just Thomas, and I don't usually buy repeats or show repeats in these videos because they're repeats. We've seen them before. But I actually want to pick up a Thomas because A, I realised I only have one classic Thomas in my collection, but B, this is one of the new 2017 Thomases that's much lighter. You can't see it on camera, but this thing is so light because it doesn't have the counterweight in it anymore. So, yeah, this is a case of I wanted to pick this one up because I only had one, also didn't have any of the new 2017 ones. The face on this one is really lined, like it's kind of hard to see on camera, but you can really see the printing lines on this Thomas face, more so than any of the other faces, which is kind of strange to me. I don't know why that's the case. Otherwise, as people know my thoughts on these, I think this little mini is very cute. I'm a big fan. But alright, we got Thomas out of the way, so let's get to the actual highlights. And that is these two other classic characters here. Yep, that's right, we've finally, after 2.5 years of Thomas & Friend minis, got Annie and Clarabel, and can I say they are excellent. So the first one I'm looking at here is Annie. If we take a look, you can see that we've got the nice printing on the side with the words Annie written there. We've got the face, interestingly, and in a first but not super surprising twist, she's actually smiling for a change, and that's something which you don't usually see on this kind of merchandise. So you do actually have a smiling Annie. You've got the darker grey roof as per the show. You've got the white wheels, which is interesting because they don't have white wheels in the show, right? But it actually seems to be a bit of a merchandising quirk in that, for example, a lot of the Take and Play kind of toys had white wheels on them. So to me, what this is kind of like a function of the weirdness of Mattel in the way they originally designed these, or, you know, whoever was originally making the take and plays and stuff, and it's just kind of followed through the toys as well. So that's something to me which is kind of quirky in that they brought that kind of mistake, if you want to call it, across into the Minis line. Personally, I actually don't mind the white wheels. I think it gives a really nice contrast to the engines. I don't think it looks like, you know, too awful, but it is not show accurate, although it's kind of toy accurate, if that makes sense. So that's Annie there. Looking at Clarabel, now the reason I'm thinking they did the faces the same is because as far as I can tell, really, the faces are nearly identical. They're either looking in slightly different directions, but to me that could just be the way they're printed. Like, I don't know if that's just a printing difference or if it's actually a different design. Maybe it's a different design, I'm not sure. Either way, that face area looks very, very similar. We've got, you know, again, the same printing on the side, except we've got Clarabel written in there. Same thing with the white wheels, black undercarriage, the dark kind of grey roof. What's curious about these guys is because, as we know, Thomas Minis don't print on the back, they actually both face forward, which is, again, is something which is not show accurate and also a bit different. So what actually happens when you couple these two together, you end up with both of them looking forward. So that's just something else. It's a little bit different, a little bit, you know, interesting, a bit weird with the Minis, but to me is not a problem because these two coaches look great together, and this is another key reason I bought this Thomas, is because they just look so good. Even though obviously the scale is super weird, like when you look at it, you know, Annie and Clarabel are as tall as Thomas and as long, and, you know, actually kind of bigger than Thomas because they're boxcar kind of designs rather than Thomas, who's obviously looks like an engine. But to me, this is what the Mini should have been about all from the start, and it's essentially a miniaturized railway. And now, after all this time, we've finally actually been able to have a miniaturized railway. So I still think that this reinforces to me how important the classic range is, and expanding the classic range to include more rolling stock is if they want people to keep collecting these Minis. Because I think these are evidence that you can take what is originally a cool collectible concept and make it into a full-blown proper toy. I think the way they do that is by bringing out more of these. So please, Mattel, if you're watching this, we want more rolling stock. We want express coaches. We want more troublesome trucks. We want different kinds of troublesome trucks. Like, there's so many different wagons you can make, post wagons. And to be honest, a lot of them you could use 2 or 3 different molds and just repaint them, recolor them. So don't need any of these weird things. I need some more rolling stock. But anyway, that aside, the next we've got the animal engines from this wave. And this time we've got the Animal Millie, which I think is actually quite a clever one. I've spoken in most of my videos that I appreciate when they use the theme or the colors or the ideas of the original engine when they make it into a theme. I think they did this really well. So this is Peacock, I'm assuming. Oops, Millie. And yeah, they've done a really nice job. I think that, again, the camera's kind of showing this as a lighter purple than it is. It's definitely like a darker, deeper purple than that. Really nice printing across the top. Definitely catches your eye. Looks like Millie at first glance, and then you see the kind of pattern on there, which is really nice. So I'm a fan of this animal theme. Equally, even though I don't necessarily think the comparison of size is correct, having a giraffe as Ben is definitely something which, again, I think is appropriate. You've got that similar kind of browny yellow color scheme. They've blended really well to create what is recognizably Ben, both in color scheme and obviously in shape, but looks different and eye-catching enough to make something stand out. So I do like this one, even if I think obviously picking a really small engine in the show and making it into a huge animal in real life is a little bit strange. I do quite like this one, and I think it's one of the better fits. In fact, both of these ones are some of my favorite animal-themed engines that we've got thus far. But speaking of animals, they weren't the only animals we got in this wave. In the aquatic wave, we've got Squid Percy, if we can call him that. You can see he's kind of got the purple on the front there. It's kind of covering up the eyes. You've got the tentacles coming back along him. Some water splashes as well. This is an odd one. To me, it's kind of reminds me of like Squidward from SpongeBob, or some kind of superhero. I can't think of which one it is off the top of my head, but this one's a bit weird to me because they kind of like, yeah, they didn't go out all out with, like they did with the Thomas and some of the other ones, but I'll show you the Thomas in a second. So to me, it just kind of looks like they were like, we need Percy in this wave, even though we have Percy over here. So yeah, I know what we're gonna do. We're gonna just put a squid on his face. Yeah, not a big fan of this one. I think it could have been done a little bit better. Yeah, looks a little bit too much like the normal one, but also too weird to not be. This, I think, is a far better version of this. This, again, probably because of the starfishes. Reminds me a bit of the SpongeBob themed engines, but it's nice because you've got a purple and the orange and the yellow running board to really make it different and match the theme of the printing, which is that really nice detailed kind of, you know, under the sea print. I think that's really cool. I'm a big fan of this one. You can see you've got the colors, like even the top is purple, his coal is purple, you know, that's really nice. The front is purple, and then he's got that little starfish over his eye. So I think this example is a much better way of doing that, where they've taken, again, like, you know, the reds and the blacks, and they've changed those colors a little bit to make this something that's quite eye-catching, interesting. So I like this one. I like it a lot. Next in this series, we've got 3 of the steel engines. So the first one of those is Diesel 10. I was really excited for Steel Diesel 10 because I really like some of the other steel locos that we've got earlier waves. But this one to me is just... it's not quite there, to be honest. To me, again, the colors are just a little bit weird. I'm not sure what... I don't really understand the pattern on there. Like, to me, it looks like it's been splattered with paint. But I think it's actually meant to be, like, rust and dirt. I don't know. Yeah, and the white... This one doesn't quite work for me because it doesn't seem like it's quite sure what it's doing. You know what I mean? Doesn't seem to fit quite into a theme. So, yeah, not a big fan of this one. Percy, on the other hand, I think has done a very good job of this theme. Interesting to note that these ones, like there's a lot of orange wheel sets in this set, but all 3 of them have different orange wheels. His are darker than these 2. But I think Percy actually does a really good job of this. Why we have 2 Percys in one wave, I don't know. In the same way we have 2 Thomases in one wave and 2 Diesels in one wave, but sure. Yeah, this one is much better, I think, because you can see it's Percy, but they've done, again, switched out some key colors to give you that eye-poppingness, but kept the main color and, you know, muted all the colors on there so that it's just this kind of steely on the side, that on the front, and they put the coal dust dirty pattern on there, which I think looks actually quite nice. So I'm a fan of this one. I think my Percy actually has a defect in that you can kind of see there's like an indent in there. I'm not sure if all the Percys from this wave have got that. The squid one didn't. So yeah, that's something I guess to note. But otherwise, yeah, I like this steel one. I think it's cool. And the next one we've got is Samson, and Samson gets weird eye marks a lot, and this is no different. He looks kind of like a robot. It's weird. Yeah, I don't think they did Samson as well. I'm just not a big fan of Samson, period. I think he's a cool character in the show, but I think as a mini, he's just, like, I just don't really care about him much. I'd rather get other characters, like, you know, Duck, which we have got now, but not in any exciting themes as of yet. Yeah, I haven't been a big fan of Samson. I think they've used him a lot considering he's, you know, a newer / less important character than he probably is being given minis in ratio to how popular / long-lasting he is. So to me, not a big fan of this one. The thing I will note about the Samson is you can actually see he's a bit bent at the front. And I'm not sure, there you go. I've just kind of clicked it back into place. But it does show you that I think what has happened is the minis have definitely cheapened in their construction as even the short time they've been around. So that's something to think about with those. Okay, cool. That's out of the way. Next 3 we've got our space. I think what's interesting about this is that we've actually been getting like quite a big chunk of a lot of the themes, whereas, you know, previous years you only got 1 in every theme, maybe 2 if you were lucky. This one is an interesting one. I'm assuming it's Bert? Yep, it's Bert. The one thing too I want to note is that the printing on the bottom is now different. It's not that dotted printing, it's like the black line printing. Or at least on some of them. Not on Paxton, but it is on Bert. I don't know, whatever. Yeah, this is an interesting one. I don't know how I feel about this one. I don't not like it, but I also don't love it. So, yeah, take your pick. Cool printing, cool design. But yeah, I don't know, you tell me. The next one we've got here is the Space Hero. And again, I think this one is a bit nicer. I like the different colored wheels. I like the way they've kind of made the planets on him. They've kind of used that cleverly, the dark color scheme in a way which is quite effective. I think Space Hero is a better space one, and I do quite like the way he turned out. Last but not least is Paxton, who has been taken over by aliens, apparently, and yeah, is now green. That's weird. That is so weird. Like, that stuff of Nightmare is weird. Like, props to them for doing it, but it's weird, because you can still see his face under there. Weird. yeah, this is a really weird one. I think I kind of like it because it's so weird. The colors are, again, quite bright and bold. But yeah, that to me just jumps out to me as like, what the heck is that? You know, because it's weird. It's solidly weird. As per usual, I've put up my 3 favourite minis, or 3 or 4 favourite minis in this case, and I'm really happy to show you them because I think these guys have nailed it. These two are excellent. I already talked about why they're so important to the Minis franchise, and these two did what I think's really, really cool about minis. They took a very, very, you know, classic concept. They took the colours and the ideas of those engines and they spun them in a way which is eye-catching, but also clearly identifiable. So, points to these ones. The other minis I don't think are necessarily bad. I think some of them are just a bit confused and they didn't quite go all the way. For example, this one and this one jump out to me as just being like not quite doing what they want to. That said, I think overall this is a pretty decent wave, although as a collection it's a bit too similar for my liking in that we got 2 aquatic, 2 animal, 3 space and 3 steel all in one series, which means the color palette is all kind of very in your face, and I like it when you get some variation, which is why I think, for example, the monochrome series from first year 2015 was one of my favorite series because it was just like really different and added a nice mix of different colors and looks. When you put them all on a table, they jumped out at you because they were black and white essentially. And I think this series maybe could have been arranged a bit better so it had a bit more variation in the colors and engines that were included, because there were like 2 Thomases and 2 Percys and like 2 diesels in this series. Otherwise though, I think you should definitely go out and pick these up if you're collecting the minis, particularly the ones that I've put at the front there, particularly and in Clarabel if you are into collecting the minis. Otherwise, make sure you let me know your thoughts, if these appeared in your region, how much they are, what you feel about minis, particularly now they've been out for a long time, a lot of people have gotten bored of them. Have you? I'm really curious to hear your thoughts. So make sure you do all those cool things, like, comment, subscribe in the comment below. Share this if, you know, you've got other people who like watching lame 21-year-olds who should be doing their uni work, making YouTube videos instead. And as always, thanks for spending your time with me. That's all we've got time for. This is Extreme Trains. The little add-on to this video is I've got some exciting parcels that have arrived from Amazon Japan, and if you've been watching my channel you'll know that the kind of things I get from Amazon Japan are stuff like N-Gauge, Thomas and Friends items. So in the somewhat near future, when the rest of those parcels arrive, hopefully there'll be a video or two explaining what they are, because I can tell you right now, they're very, very cool.